Great. Hey, all right. Next up, we have Fraction AI. Shashank, thank you so much for coming. Hello. So, looking through all my notes here. So, Fraction AI is doing decentralized data labeling.
Yep.
And can you talk through how Fraction AI works and what problem it solves for AI development today?
Yeah, sure. First, I would like to talk about data. So all data is not created equal. Right now, all the models that are out there are trained on all of the data that has been generated on internet. So they know everything that has happened so far. They know language, and then they can recreate the content that has been out there. So to create better models, we need new data, and not just data created by the models themselves, but also with human insights. So that's what we do. We have a platform where users create their own agents with their own insights, and then those agents compete against each other to create the best possible data, and then that is used to train better AI models. So we are a decentralized reinforcement learning platform. Uh, yeah, create the best possible data.
And why is it important for this new data generation or data creation to be decentralized in the first place?
Yeah, because let's take an example. And let's take the example of DeepSeek. They introduced a new approach called GRPO, where they use their model to generate some samples, and then they have a set of rules to filter out what data is good and what is not. But here, the data is still coming from just one model, and probably a developer wrote a query about how to generate that data. So that is highly biased. Whereas on our platform, every person can go and create their own agents, and the data generated by their agents are powered by their own insights. So you add insights of 300,000 users on our platform, and that kind of diversity will give you a way better model than is created by someone sitting in a lab.
Got it. So the importance of decentralized AI comes from the fact that the data is going to be coming from a lot of different sources, which is really important, I guess, for diversity, for objectiveness.
Yeah.
And so we're not kind of held captive by some bias that kind of
Yeah.
permeates the entire system.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also about the filtering part. In the DeepSeek paper, they have like pretty straightforward filtering rules. It's like, is the data well formed? Is it in the right format? Does it make sense or not? So these broad rules are good, but we have to go more domain specific, and we also have to go use case specific. So some company might want their data in a certain format. They might want it to be more funny than usual. They might want to use certain words or not use certain words. So those filtering rules have to be decentralized as well and use case dependent. And that's what you can do on our platform.
What are some examples of the type of data that's being labeled right now?
There have been several kinds, but the major ones have been around marketing and sales. So, for example, writing emails, writing tweets, other social media posts. There's also been one space about rap battles. So people actually go there and write 1,000-word prompts about how to write good raps. They even give examples of good rap music from Eminem, Jay-Z, and the others. So that's been like that's gotten a lot of traction.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the data labeling to some extent is kind of curation as well, right? Someone is coming in and deciding like this is a good, this is a good rap, right?
Yeah, and it's much better than that because instead of you going and writing all the raps yourself, you create an agent and give it your insight. That a good rap should look like this. Here are a few examples. Do this and not that, and then your agent can generate that data at scale. So it's like you have been given an intern who works like 24/7, and you have told that intern do this, not that, or you're fired. And, and then that intern is working all the time and getting you the best possible data.
What are some of the data sets that are kind of most in demand right now that you see within the system that's being created?
Yeah, so depends whether you're talking about Web 2 or Web 3. In Web 3, it's more about marketing, and there have been some emerging DeFi use cases. In DeFi, I would say it's more about liquidity management. There have been some use cases around some alpha prediction, market prediction, but yeah, it's difficult to do. So
Can you explain what it means to have a data set that, like what would a data set that looks at liquidity for DeFi protocols look like?
yeah, so for example, you want to get the market sentiment from all the tweets that are out there. So you'll create an agent that looks at a tweet and identifies the sentiment and ranks it from like 1 to 10, because just directly predicting market from sentences is difficult. So yeah, you'll create an agent, ask it how to identify the sentiment from the news, from the tweets, and then those agents compete against each other, and then we see whose prediction was the best.
Got it. So those are examples of some of the crypto native data sets that are in demand right now. What about non-crypto native data sets?
One of the major ones was writing job listings, because each industry have their own norms, their own styles of writing. So yeah, different spaces for all of them. And marketing and sales is pretty common across Web2 and Web3. Everybody needs that. It's just that tone of writing is totally different. In Web3, it's more fun and engaging. In Web2, it has to be more LinkedIn kind of serious.
Yeah, which also speaks to why you kind of need more inputs, why it needs to be decentralized, right? Because marketing is so specific and so niche.
Yeah, and it has to be decentralized both on the generation part as well as on the filtering part. Because if there was enough diversity in the generated data, but you filtered out all that and just kept one viewpoint, then it doesn't matter.
Can you talk us through the participants in Fraction AI? So who's doing the data labeling? Who's doing the generation? Who's participating in kind of like, hey, these are the right filters to use, et cetera?
Yeah. So just to give you some context, we are in testnet right now, and we are live on Sepolia testnet, Ethereum's official testnet, and 85% of the total wrapped ETH on the Sepolia is being used by our smart contract right now. So we have 300,000 users. We only allow users that hold a certain amount of Ethereum on the mainnet. So those are like real people, not the bots. And we recently published a map of where our users are, and they are pretty well spread out. A large chunk of them are in North America and Southeast Asia, but we have users everywhere. I don't really remember the age groups, but yeah, we have all sort of that data.
And what are the incentives for them to participate right now?
Yeah, so there are short-term incentives and the longer-term incentives. Whenever you create an agent and it participates in a session, you have to pay a small entry fee, around $1, even less than that. And if your agent does the best, you actually earn money. It's a small amount, but you can like run your agent in parallel, like 500 sessions at a time, and then you can just scale up your earnings.
Who determines whether it's the best?
So we have a decentralized set of judges. Those are LLMs, and they are given specialized instructions on how to evaluate. And every space has its own set of instructions, and users know that beforehand. So they are optimizing for that. So that's the short-term rewards. And there's also the longer-term rewards in the form of tokens. There's monthly emissions, and based on how much you participated, what's the value add to the platform was, you earn the long-term rewards in the form of tokens.
Can you talk through maybe the quick timeline of how you see Fraction AI? Right now you're in testnet. When do you plan on launching to mainnet, and what are some of the focuses into 2025?
Yeah, sure. So in the testnet, we have already had like 9 million sessions on the platform so far. So one session is where 5 agents compete against each other and generate data, and we evaluate them. So that's one session, and there's been like 9 million of them on the platform. Our timeline for mainnet is like few months, like 1 to 2 months. We'll first launch on Ethereum and then near transactions we are having. So yeah, that's the kind of timeline we have.
Very cool. Maybe as a last question, what do you think people are maybe either misunderstanding or underestimating about AI right now? It can pertain to data in particular as well. I know AI is a huge bucket.
Yeah, so I know what it is. I'm just thinking how to like say it in the best possible way. So earlier, everyone thought that human labeled data was the best thing and was the only way to drive AI forward. And we started with that vision as well. We were doing human powered labeling. But over time, we realized that AI can label more, way better than what most people can. So the better strategy is for people to be able to use AI to label and just provide their own insights. And when DeepSeek came out, they kind of validated our approach. This was a simpler model, and it did so much better than whatever existed before. So yeah, it's good. It feels good to be validated.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming
Yeah.
and providing your insights. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.